Welcome back to the Good Green Home Show with Rich and Shawna. Today, our special guest is Diane Blazek, and Diane is the head of the All-American Selections and also the National Garden Bureau.
Wow.
Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
Well, you're welcome, and you have quite a job. You're the head of everything.
Well, two things, and it can take some time, but it's also extremely fun, and I get to talk to people like you guys today, and then I get to talk to consumers and be excited about gardening. I mean, what's not to love about that?
There you have it. What you're really doing is educating the end consumer on different varieties of plants. Tell us more about what it is to be an All-American selection, for instance.
Well, for All-American Selections, what we do is we trial the plants extensively. And right now, our trials are on annuals and vegetables. So what happens is an entry has to go through a rigorous trial. We have about 40 different locations across the U.S. And only if they perform better than other similar varieties that are currently on the market, kind of the best of what's out there, then they are deemed an AAS winner.
So is this annuals and perennials?
Right now it's annuals and edibles. If you invite me back in about 6 months, maybe we can talk about perennials.
Okay.
I just can't talk about it yet.
All right. We would love to have you back in about 6 months.
That would be great. Now you have to tell us the difference between All-American Selections and the National Garden Bureau.
National Garden Bureau is more of a marketing organization. So really what we want to do is educate and encourage everybody to do more gardening. And so part of that involves promoting the AAS winners. We also do things like the Year of program. We focus on a certain class of plants. Like this year, it's the Gaillardia for our perennial class. It's the Coleus for our annual plant, and it's sweet peppers for our edible. So we put together a little promotional program behind each class.
And the year of the Coleus has become the favorite plant ever for me. I've been using the Kong series, which is all neon, bright colors and that sort of thing.
Big leaf, too.
Yes.
I like the big leaf.
Do you have a particular Coleus that you recommend that are a part of the selections?
Oh, goodness. Actually, with All-American Selections, we have not had a Coleus winner, so that's a big project that I would like to do is get some breeders to enter some Coleus into our trials. Right now, I think we have over 100 different varieties on our website, ngb.org, and, there's a different Coleus for every taste. You can get frilly leaves and big leaves and small leaves and dark leaves that are almost black and bright green chartreuse leaves. So it depends what you want for your garden.
Well, a Coleus, to the people that are listening at home, a Coleus is such a versatile plant because you can plant it anywhere in the shade, in containers, in raised beds, in the ground.
There's sun Coleus as well.
There's sun Coleus. I use them in my vertical wall gardens as fillers, so they fill in really well. And I actually plant ornamental edibles like blood beets and blue kale and all of those type of ornamental varieties around them. And it's a lot of leaf. And what somebody once told me is, leaves are boring. Oh, my heavens. That's the last thing you would imagine when you see a wall of Coleus.
I'd like to talk to that person.
Yeah, and all of this looking at you. So what a great plant for a year of plant.
Yeah, that's what we thought too. And we're getting a lot of great response from that program. So that's good to hear.
Diane, now you mentioned that the All-American Selections, going back to that original, the All-American Selections they go through rigorous testing in different places all around the country, so under different soil, temperature, weather conditions, and obviously maybe a little bit of, some sites might water differently, for example. So they're going through all these different, basically stress tests, so to speak. Now, when a consumer looks for an All-American Selection, is there a website that lists them, or when they go into the garden center, does it say it on the plant tag that it's an All-American Selection?
The answer to both questions is yes. I would advise people to go to aaswinners.com, very easy to remember, and there you can sort all the AAS winners. There's almost 800 winners over the past 82 years, some of which are no longer available, some of which are now considered heirlooms, and then there's also all of our newest winners. So, depending on what they're looking for, let's say they want to find a carrot, so they can sort by carrots and look for the AAS winners. We also have a seed source listing for our newer winners, like the past 5 years. But there are a lot of websites, mail order websites out there that do a great job of carrying the AAS winners using the logo. When you do go into your retail store, the tag companies are very supportive about putting the AAS winner logo on. The seed packets are printed with the logo. And the great news is every year we have more and more AAS winners, so they are becoming easier to identify in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much a good indicator for the consumer that it is a pretty good plant. So it kind of gives a little bit of more consumer confidence maybe behind that purchase or,
I think so
decision.
too. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I like to kind of identify with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval because they do their testing in real life circumstances, just like you were talking about in the garden. And they give out this Good Housekeeping seal of approval. And I think it's a great way to explain what the AAS logo means on a plant.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of trends do you see with the new plants in the market that are coming out? I mean, we've all been talking about trends lately, both in marketing and what the end consumer is really seeing out there. What do you see in your experience?
Well, I have these very close connections with all the breeding companies, and I'm very, very pleased with what I see them doing now because they're certainly reacting to what the consumers are doing. I was just writing up some descriptions this morning, and for example, the petunias, you have to deadhead them. Well, they're breeding now so that petunias will kind of cover the old and faded things. Mm-hmm. And so I interpret that as a trend where the breeders are saying these consumers are either intimidated and don't want to have to do this, or they have less time. So what they're doing is breeding to have a more easier to maintain plant. So that's one thing. Another thing is heat tolerance, drought tolerance. We have global warming or climate change going on, whatever you want to call it. And so they're certainly paying attention to that. And consumers are asking for plants that need less water and endure heat or bloom longer throughout the summer. So not only easier maintenance, but I guess it goes along with the easier maintenance too, because it requires less water, but just is adaptable to the conditions.
And I think as a garden center owner and have been in the garden center business for so long that it's not even just about the changes in the climate, but it's also about the changes in the consumer's time and schedule and availability to, hey, I don't have time to water as often.
Right.
Or I'm going to go on vacation for this week and gosh, I hope my plants don't die because it's going to be 90s and it's looking like it's not going to rain the whole time that I'm gone. So what are some of the, maybe a quick list of 3 to 5 of your best, heat tolerant, drought tolerant type plants that you would recommend to consumers that get into that hot summer climate?
Oh boy. Well, we were talking about gaillardias with year of, and we do have a couple gaillardias. The Arizona Sun gaillardias are certainly more heat tolerant. We do have some of those vegetables. The list is pretty long. Let's hear. And on some annuals, we have some salvias. The Summer Jewel series are certainly more tolerant. Great also for pollinators. I was going to kind of make a leap into this environmental thing too. And if it's heat and drought tolerant, it means you have to use less of our natural resources. So you use less water. And then I'm just going to make another leap to another trend, and that's dual purpose. So, Shawna, I think you were talking about using some of your edibles in with your ornamentals.
Mixing them up. Yeah.
And yeah, we certainly have several edible winners now that are beautiful. They have beautiful produce, and some of them almost look like an ornamental pepper. There's this one called Sweet and Easy. And so it can be used as an edible and an ornamental. And the fact that dual purpose, they're attracting pollinators. So it's not just a pretty plant now. It will attract pollinators to your garden.
I'm glad you brought up the pollinators because I certainly think that 2015, I know it's the year of the sweet pepper, it's the year of the coleus, but I also think this is the year of the pollinator.
It is. We have a bee crisis, and somebody told me the other day, they said, I'm sick of hearing about the bee crisis, and I was shocked because it's about our food sources and where are we going to get the extreme level of vegetables that we have right now. We have some wonderful selections out there. Well, without the bees, we don't have them. So it's so very important that we push pollinators. I have a question too. Midsummer, what happens for me is my lettuces, sometimes my coleus will fall down. Because they've bolted and I have to pull them out of the garden.
What do you mean by bolted? They took off running down the street?
Yeah, naked. Yeah.
Hey, come back.
We're going, man. No, bolted is when you have a lettuce. Lettuce is a prime example of it. But you have a lettuce and then it grows a top on it that is like a long thing and then it produces seed and flowers at the top. And when that happens, the plant below starts to look really cruddy, to be frank, and the lettuce will taste bitter. So it's at that time, that's when I pull the lettuces out. Excuse me, or if I'm having trouble with the coleus, whatever is bolted, I'll either chop off the top completely down to the bottom or I'll pull them out, and I'm looking for creative plants that I could substitute. What do you think, Diane?
Well, not that I'm trying to promote only annuals, but I think annuals are those good, let's just call them impulse purchases, because if you have an empty spot in your garden, an annual is going to be a pop of color and, you can put it in and it will replace whatever was there. So I just think that's one of the key purposes of annuals, and you were talking about lettuce, which is an edible, but also perennials. They're lovely in the garden, but just by their nature, they're not going to be blooming all summer long. So if you have a perennial that's kind of past its prime, then you might want to pop in like a container of annuals, or go ahead and put some in the ground to replace that area where you lost some blooms.
That's a good idea. I'm thinking, we just discussed this last show, but the bleeding heart. The bleeding heart falls down to the ground in July and everyone freaks out. And it's a great you can run to the store and grab. Mums are starting to come out earlier and earlier. Have you noticed that? You're a garden center owner.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they'll force the mums. You're talking about garden mums.
Yeah, garden mums. They're in
some,
late July. I'm seeing them now.
Yeah, they're forced. They're shaded. Some of the growers, they would like to get them on the market. The longer the selling period, obviously, the more crop turns and...
So it's a good thing. For me, it is an easy plug-in. And then midsummer, I also see the independent garden sitters are coming out with kales and the ornamental ones, an ornamental cabbage that you can throw on the ground, and actually they'll produce all the way through the fall. So, it's a nice way to extend your garden season without a doubt.
Exactly. And we have an AS winner called Glamour Red, and it's a really, really nice kale. A lot of kale have that waxy leaf, so the color is a little bit duller.
Muted.
And this Glamour Red is one of the first kales that's been bred without quite as much of a waxy coating. It still has to have some, otherwise it's not going to survive the cooler temperatures later in the fall. But Glamour Red is a very vibrantly colored ornamental kale.
I need that for my garden this year. Because,
Yes,
I'm the leaf girl. I like all the leaves, so I'm going to have to get it. Now, does the Glamour Red grow really tall, or is it a shorter kale?
No, it's shorter. It's not going to grow more than probably about 10 inches, I believe. I'm going from memory here, but I think it's about 10 inches by seeing it in the garden.
That's perfect for a container.
Yeah.
So, Diane, with all of your years of experience in the horticulture industry, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's never gardened before, or the novice gardener? Because one of the fears I have and the concerns that I see from being in the garden center side of things is a lot of people are intimidated by getting into it, and they think, I've got a black thumb, or I'm not able to do this. So what advice would you give the beginner gardener?
Just try it. That's the first step, is not to be intimidated. And it's been interesting because, we've done some focus groups over the years.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, absolutely. To borrow that tennis shoe manufacturer's
Right.
phrase, is just do it, to try it. And my favorite thing that I think I always encourage people to try with are herbs. especially if it's somebody who likes to play around in the kitchen and
Did Shawna tell you to say that? Because now you just got her all excited. She loves herbs. She's obsessed.
It's the cocktail thing,
You just
herbs
made
and
her day.
cocktails.
I know, but it's so true. I mean, okay, if somebody likes to have their cocktails, then they need some mint for that mojito, and
That's
then they
right.
want to grow it instead of go buy it, and they know that it's fresh and they can have that pride of growing it. So absolutely. I mean, I guess there's a gateway gardening kind of thing, and I would say that's an herb.
The gateway drug
That's the second
to
time that's
gardening.
been referenced on this show. Is
The gateway
herbs are
drug to gardening is herbs. And part of
think
that is
so.
because they smell so good.
Yeah.
But the other benefit of
They're
them,
easy to grow.
They're easy to grow. They can grow. They do best in sun most of the time. However, they can grow in shade as well.
A lot of
Plus,
people grow them indoors.
they flower. So you have pollinator plants like the globe basil that I grow has this tiny white flower. Bees love it. Perfect.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, that's some great advice. I love it. Just go do it, because you know what? You're never going to learn if you don't try. You're not going to get better at anything. And honestly, if you go to the local independent garden center, the people there will give you good advice. They're not going to steer you in the wrong direction. They're typically going to be the ones that have the correct information and advice to get you successful gardening, because as a business, we want the consumer to have success with gardening, so they keep coming back for more, because if they don't have success, it's not in our best interest, and it's not in everybody's best
What's
interest.
really funny is, lots of customers, lots of my fans online and everything send me notes, and they're like, I've killed everything. And I'm like, I have killed more plants than I've ever grown. And it's so true, because it's really hard to learn how to do something without falling down once in a while. So I have killed a lot of plants, and the result is that I've learned how to do it the better way. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
Diane, this has been a wonderful interview, and we learned about All-American Selections. We learned about the National Gardening Bureau, and we learned about how to get Shawna's plants to not run away.
Yeah, naked.
Don't bolt.
Don't bolt.
Don't bolt. No running naked. It's not good. Before we close, what kind of excitement is going on this year? You mentioned that you have a few year ofs that you're promoting. What all are your organizations doing in the 2015 season? What can we expect?
Well, let's hear. So we do have the 3-year of. Next week, we're also going to highlight some of our members' garden products. So there's always some exciting new things there, a couple books, a few other items thrown in. And then with All America Selections, we announce winners 3 times a year. And so actually a week from Monday, we'll be announcing another group of 8 AAS winners. So it brings our total this year up to 25.
I have to ask, before you go on, I have to ask, do you guys fight in the office over this? Who's going to be the winner? Or is it purely based on statistics?
Oh, it is purely a mathematical score.
Oh, is it? So it's a scientific determination on who is the winner.
Exactly. I mean, it's our judges. It's the horticulture professionals. These are experts, PhDs in their field. They're the ones giving the scores. But once those scores are submitted to us, it's purely mathematical. They have to be way up here on their score, or else it just does not become an AAS winner.
Well, I can't do math, so I guess I'm out to be a judge. That's
Yeah. Oh, I have somebody here to do the math.
That does the math. That does the math for you. That's fantastic.
Shawna, I can't do math.
I can't do math. I can't.
Especially
Give me some
after
English.
her mint mojitos, and then her math gets even worse.
Yeah, exactly. 2 shots? No, I meant 3. All right. Well, thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Yes, thank you.
I hope you'll come back. And I'm going to talk more in the future about your year of. I'm going to have to write some stories for us online and share with the viewers some ideas on what they can do for the year of the coleus, for instance. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
You're welcome to it.
Great. Well, thanks again. And we'll be back shortly with a cocktail for you.
I can't wait. That's my favorite part of the show. We'll be right back with the Good Green Home Show with Rich and Shawna.
Alsip Home and Nursery. Think outside the box store.
Is your lawn being ruined by moles and voles? Bonide has the solution. Bonide Mole Max is an effective repellent to use against moles, voles, rabbits, gophers, groundhogs, squirrels, skunks, and other burrowing animals. The environmentally friendly Mole Max formulation makes it a great product to apply in areas where children and pets play. Just apply 3 or 4 times per year to send nuisance animal pests away. If your lawn needs some repair from mold damage, use Mole Max RX with Lawn Revitalizer. This will help repair your lawn while repelling the moles and voles. Bonide's Mole Max and Mole Max RX are available in a granule and easy spreader application or in a convenient 5-pound shaker applicator for flower or vegetable gardens. Bonide products are family made in America. Bonide Mole Max Mole and Vole Repellent is available at your local hardware store, garden center, or farm feed store, or go to bonide.com for a retailer near you. This product is not for sale in Indiana.